What is up, everybody? Welcome back to HGC China, day number 2 of week number 3 in phase 2, of course. Tetra and I are still standing ready to present 4 more best of 2s to you. And we're going to kick things off with a pretty interesting one today, aren't we?
Yes, we are. We're going to be starting with the battle of the bottom of the table. It is going to be Sunny Lion versus RPG. And can I just say, I'm going to make a very rare complaint about the Chinese production due to the fact that I really do miss the hype intros, because without that, I'm entering this broadcast right now with utter confusion instead of hype from the previous commercial that we just saw. But I'm sure the games will change that very shortly. And the wind-up, as you can see, the teams here, we are in a 2-game series format here, for those of you just joining us in HGC China, and that means, yes, as much as that seems to shock people, there can be a tie. The point of this is, it is a points-based system. Yes, we get ties, but they also play each other twice, 3 times, potentially, if you include the playoffs each phase.
Exactly. That also results in more games overall, because the series are not going to take that long. And here we're going to take a look at the current standing. CE still sitting comfortably at the
second from
top
the right
here.
Is the points.
Yeah, second right here. We see 13 points for CE, followed by the 1 and SBT, both currently sitting at 11 because CE and the 1 played 1-1 yesterday, resulting in CE not being able to expand their lead even further. And SBT, they're in the chase. You know, they're on the chase. They want to make this happen. They want to defend their title, of course, the 3-time China champions. And here's our series for today, with RPG against Sunny Lion starting off first. The battle at the bottom, if you will, as Tetris said. And then
the match at the middle coming up afterwards.
The match of the middle. I like it. The battle at the bottom.
We need
the
to
match
see
at the middle.
if we can keep the alliteration up.
And then the...
it's like the middle versus the top. So the mixed match challenge. No, wait, that's copyrighted. Never mind.
The round of rivals. No.
Round of rivals is pretty good.
Round of rivals seems good.
A lot.
Because both the 1 and SBT are, of course, trying to get that second spot, trying to get that first spot even, if CE ends up struggling today. So no matter how you put it, no matter which words you find for it, there's going to be a lot of good matches coming right at you today. And the RPG against Sunny Lion is going to be our first best of 2. We're going to take a look at said teams here now, with RPG starting things off. And Tetra, I told you, or I talked to you before the stream started, and I said that I would be very upset if RPG wasn't able to win this one, because that is their best chance of winning their first best of 2.
This is the first season since me and you really joined HGC China where I can look at this team and I can say, I am a fan of Chicken. Chicken's playing really well. Whereas previously it's been like, maybe a Leoric, but why are you picking this thing, or why are you picking this thing? Right now, Chicken is looking the best he has since we first joined the league, and that's really cool to see. This new roster change seems to have worked out for him very well.
Yeah, and these guys here, the Sunny Lions, they had to face SPT yesterday, so they had a really rough schedule. I think before that it was the 1. I'm not 100% sure, but they certainly didn't have the easiest of schedules here. So once again, for them as well, this is a matchup that could very well fit them, because RPG, not really the strongest team in the league currently, although certain players were shaping up quite nicely. And Sa, by the way, seems to be the key player to watch in this series. Now, I can only assume that this is for 2 reasons. First, he is now the team's main assassin, which is something he was before. And second, he's got very mixed results lately, right? And in some of those games, he looked like a completely new player. He looked like a really solid ranged assassin. But in some of those players, or some of those games, he also looked like more of a liability than an asset in the roster of RPG.
This is correct. Now, let's have a look at some of the history here, which says it might be pretty close. The first time these 2 teams played each other in the first rotation, as once again, we do a double rotation, so each team plays each other 2 times. As you can see, the stats are also pretty even here, which makes sense. RPG went 1-1 versus Sunny Lion the first time they played. 2 weeks ago, on week 7, Sunny Lion went 1-1 against Soa. Week 8, aka last week, RPG went 1-1 against Soa. There is a lot of parallels we could draw here. The only difference is Sunny Lion did not go 1-1 versus CE a week ago.
Yep,
that is
Absolutely true. So once again, we see the comparison to round 1 with picks and bans. Of course, also graying out the maps that are not available this time. Although I'm still a little bit confused as to which maps are exactly banned here right now. Because there's 4 gray maps now. So it's not really clear to me. Is it clear to you?
No, I still don't really understand it, like which one is the bans for this series, etc.
Like exactly for this current series, it's rather hard to tell. But anywho, we're gonna dive right.
We need to ask for an annotated picture to explain it to us.
Exactly. Anyways, we're gonna dive right into the action here on Sky Temple, I believe it was. Yep, there we go. See the icon at the bottom of the table, and the Sunny Lions, they're immediately shutting down the Medivh. I mean, we don't even have to mention Medivh anymore. Something special. He's very strong at the moment. You see him in all various regions, and especially RPG did have some pretty good results yesterday on that Medivh when they were able to win a game. And unfortunately, they weren't able to clutch it out against KT, who came back rather spectacularly.
But this has allowed Sunny Lion to immediately pick up the Malfurion here, giving them one of the most highly prioritized supports, although he was neglected a little bit yesterday over the instead of Stukov, who really managed to leap up and become involved in the majority of the games. But that can also be attributed potentially to a favoritism by SPT at minimum.
Yeah, and the only team in the league, we mentioned this as well yesterday, that kind of seems to defy this pattern of picking Malfurion or Stukov 24/7. Seems to be the one. You know, they oftentimes like to run an Uther first pick or second pick because it simply fits their playstyle a little bit more. That revolves so much about or around aggression and calculated aggression and making melee assassins shine. So Uther in that regard still has a place in the current meta. Don't count the old man out.
So we see a Hanzo and a Tyrael coming in for RPG. This is not a usual start for them. The Hanzo, maybe. They seem pretty comfortable with the hero, just due to the fact Sara is a very solid assassin, honestly. He, having swapped across, he's very stable. But the Tyrael is an unexpected start. It's not the kind of direction we see them going in, where they will sometimes open up with usually like a Diablo or a Garrosh or something solid tank-wise for C. Maybe even an ETC sometimes, but Tyrael is unusual.
Yeah, Tyrael has become rather unpopular now that warriors like Diablo and Garrosh and even ETC to some extent have found their way back into the meta as priority picks. So Tyrael, who's more of a defensive warrior, not an aggressive playmaking warrior like the other ones that I just mentioned, you know, he's still good, but ever since Blaze got nerfed a little bit, you know, the bunker changes are pretty significant, and Blaze in the first place has never been a huge staple in China, with the exception of SPT, who relied regularly on him. So yeah, Tyrael a little weaker than before, especially his Justice for All as well at level 1, not really as strong anymore, but still a solid pick if you play a more defensive draft.
So now with Genji and Sonya coming out for Sunny Lion, they have gone for... Whereas RPG have gone for a more muted, careful start to their draft, Sunny Lion have gone massive aggression, with Malfurion just to stand in the back and spam heals. With Sonya being able to run the solo lane pretty effectively, and Genji going to be trying to put some pressure onto Hanzo, but needs to be careful he does not get outranged. As such, RPG respond very sensibly, removing the best dive tank, other than maybe Diablo, possibly ETC if he has enough protection.
Yeah, the Anubarak ban on the side of RPG is a little interesting, though, because you could have actually assumed that they maybe would have liked to pick him for themselves to maybe cocoon the Malfurion, which is still a nice thing to do if there is tranquility in the game, or even cocoon the Genji if he goes for Dragonblade. So,
excellent point.
Yeah, I think this ban could backfire a little bit, but of course there's still plenty of other options available to take as a tank. Now, are we going to see that Stukov ban Tetra? Oftentimes a very popular choice to really shut down the top 2 support role for their opponents.
Stukov would be good. Potential Diablo could also be a ban if you're going for a double tank. For starters, just the irony of Tyrael and Diablo on the same team is always satisfying to me.
Yeah.
But having that kind of all-in potential, it's going to be Malthael. Also very sensible. You want to remove the biggest competition for your solo laner, so that the solo laner can, you know, just win the lane, and you can concentrate on your 4-man more effectively.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, Malthael is one of the few heroes that can actually deal with a Sonya very handsomely in the solo lane, because he ignores the block for the most part. His auto attack damage is not really relevant. It's more of his trait that is dealing the whole damage. There is no counter to the percentage damage up to this point in the game. There is no mechanics that can shut it down. So as such, even Sonya, who's very tanky, very self-sustaining, will have her issues. Now, this is probably a very conservative draft from RPG. Like, this almost looks like a Hero League game up to this point to me. So, very stable all around. They've got a good initiator with ETC, strong protection with Tyrael, Grey main Hanzo, you can never go wrong with those. And they're saving their support for last year, because why would they even have to show it right now? So yeah, it could be a Stukov very likely. Could also be an Uther though, if they wanted to go for the Divine Cow, for the Holy Cow.
Yeah. This does have a mean that their solo laner is likely going to end up being Tyrael, due to the fact that Tyrael does not win lanes. He just loses them really slowly. He is never going to be able to outpush a Sonya or anything like that, but the shields he gives to minions and his acceptable amount of wave clear, it's not good, but it's acceptable, is enough to usually just hold a lane temporarily. However, a Cassia coming into Sunny Lion, we have had this complaint about them before. The over-focus onto those melee heroes, but it makes sense. Double range damage dealers are both very auto-attack focused from RPG.
Yeah, I think against Hanzo and Grey, I mean, this could actually work out if Cassia makes sure to not get caught too much by stuns on ETC, and of course if she doesn't really take every ounce of ability damage, like, which meaning you know, every Hanzo arrow, every Greymane cocktail, and so on and so forth. But if she manages to position her well and stay safe for the most part, I think she could be a very, very resilient backliner. So what is RPG going to do here? They pick up the Alexstrasza over the Stukov, which is a very curious decision. I think most of it derives from the fact that we see Cassia on the enemy team, and guess what Alexstrasza brings to the table? Strong team fighting, both in Dragon Queen form, but also with a Cleansing Flame. Cleansing Flame also a very solid damaging ability if everyone in the team fight clumps up. So if Cassia gets hit by too many shots from Alexstrasza, she could have actually suffered terrible, terrible damage.
She also has one of the best disengages in the game in the form of Dragon Queen Wind Buffet once. And of course, when you've already used the Wind Buffet, Dragon Queen is up, you've effectively disengaged, and with the Dragon Queen up, you have dissuaded the enemy team from re-engaging. This is why, just out of a mental aspect and out of fight control, it's very much like an Odin in the situation of popping it can usually earn you an objective positioning for at least a little while.
Now, I'm a little concerned about Alexstrasza on this battleground, though. I think Sky Temple normally isn't really the best battleground for one major reason. You're not always guaranteed to fight in one spot for a longer period of time, especially when there's two temples up at the same time. When there's one temple up, okay, you may actually get that team fight you desire with Alexstrasza if there's two temples up, or even if you're just fighting over a boss and a temple is up at the same time, you can't really stay in one place for too long. However, whether that's going to be crucially crippling for RPG remains to be seen. For now, we're going to take a look at the teams in more detail and introduce them once again. On the blue side, we see RPG with Chicken on that ETC this time, MJ playing Alexstrasza, Sa on that Hanzo, C is playing Tyrael, and Timeless on Greymane.
And on the right-hand side, it's going to be Sunny Lion with Pow on Malfurion, and Jaina on Muradin, Feed B on Cassia, Twilight on Genji, and First is playing that Sonya. So it is official. Jaina is the full main tank now, which is disappointing because we don't get Jaina on Jaina, but it's also official. He has more than one tank.
Exactly. He does not always play the ETC, especially if it's getting picked away from him. So RPG was doing their homework, at least in that regard. So very well done. And Chicken actually playing the main tank, or one of the main tanks with Tyrael in ETC here. A role that he normally hasn't really played that much, especially with Wang, his buddy in crime from the previous seasons, normally fulfilling that role, and him, you know, sorting towards the bruisers and melee assassins. But it's going to be a nice change here. So he played Zeratul in this season, he played ranged assassins, and now main tanks. So almost 100% certain that this is going to be a stage dive ETC then, which would fit Chicken's playstyle a little bit more in my opinion.
Yeah, it's one of the few tanks he seemed very comfortable on before he made his full role swap to the something flex that he is now. I am actually very confused as to what he is, but I have no issue with what he is.
He's the chicken of all trade.
The chicken of all trades. I like it. Much like Much like everything tastes like chicken, chicken fits into everything else.
Yeah.
As we see the little duel between C and First, this is the duel that First will very much win. Yeah. But the shield onto the minions, delaying the killing of the minion wave. This is the main idea behind it. So he even gets the globe on the way out. Nicely done there.
That's all you wanted, you know, soak a little bit of experience, get the globe, and then just teleport back to safety. And as we said during the draft, Tyrael cannot win this lane. So he's going to be dependent on ganks, and ETC already trying to posture up here, but he doesn't even need to win this lane. All he needs to do, see that is, on Material, is not to die and not to fall victim to the Sonya. As long as he maintains a healthy soak, and as long as he keeps the lane deep push for at least a little bit, he's going to make sure to buy enough time for his teammates to get mercenary cams, knight cams, and CP9 cams alike. And even now, First is going to have to do exactly that anyway, so against Muradin, he should feel much more comfortable. See, that is.
With Alex Strasser going with the abundance-based build here, so very much a group-up composition here. Groupies, abundance, justice for all. This is going to be a everyone stand together and then probably get blinded. But they have sanctification, so that will at least help with that particular aspect.
Exactly, and the sanctification is basically going to enable a lot of the heroes here for RPG, like Rayman, like the Tyrael even, ETC of course, if you land sanctification perfectly, and then put a mosh pit to use. Although it's very hard to execute that maneuver, you can actually get some sweet damage done. Now, the mercenary timing was a little bit better for Sunnyline here, as you can see. They're using the towers to defend and then protect the health of their mercenaries as much as possible, only to then counter push and get some damage done themselves. While in the meantime, on the Genji once again, he was doing pretty well yesterday, if I dare say so. And looks like I had a little bit of a stutter. You too?
Yes, very much so.
Okay.
Quite a big one.
Yeah. Basically, there isn't really anything showing right now. Okay, I'm back.
I am back.
Back to 10. Are you sitting at 10-7 as well?
11:33.
You know what? I think the latency actually stayed same, or stayed the same for the most part. So we're just gonna leave it at that, I guess.
So what are you at?
I was on like 10-7, 10-8.
Okay, so yeah, about half a second. So we'll roll with it, ladies and gentlemen. As we see MJ living up to his namesake and moonwalking his way out of there, kiting backwards, pops into the dragon form though, pushing forward and sending Twilight straight out of there.
Yeah, for now, that is the power of the Dragon Queen, and that, of course, is a big reason why Sunnyline can't really get back in the middle, but they don't even need to, right? Top lane is in their possession. Now the Dragon Queen has expired, and immediately you can see Jaina on the Muradin being a lot more bold and being a lot more brave when it comes to re-engaging. Now Timeless, though, using the Worgen form to put additional damage onto Muradin. Cassia being exceptionally resilient against Greymane and Hanzo, as long as it comes to you know, their basic attacks. Jaina, of course, that's the beautiful thing about Muradin. He has second wind available, so he can regenerate health much quicker than most other warriors. But both temples are split, and both teams are walking away with almost the exact same amount of experience.
Yes, they are. So far, looking pretty decent between two teams. Just quickly, do we have a name for the Sanctification mosh pit combo? Because Divine Shield mosh pit is the holy cow. But do we have a name for the Sanctification one?
Let's see. The Gospel Choir?
The Gospel. I mean, I quite like it. I was gonna go with Ahimsa, but I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. Which is like the Hindu concept of like no animal shall be harmed, aka the concept behind the cows are sacred thing.
I like it. I like it. Let's see if we're actually gonna see that combo, and then we can maybe think of more names. But yeah, those are the questions that really matter in Heroes of the Storm, guys. So feel free to hit us up with your own proposals and your own suggestions.
Yeah, we like to hear stuff like that. We like coming up with combo names. They're fun, and usually chat does almost always win with those. Chicken, like you said, he's approaching level 10 by the time the next objective's up. Yep. So this is why he has moved into the top lane, and Tyrael has moved into the bot lane.
All right. You know what? Speaking of combo names, that makes me miss the old days when we had Tyrande and Muradin. You know, we could find new names like Miranda. I think there was also wait a minute. There's also a name for Tyrande ETC. I think Wolf was hitting us up with that one in HGC Korea all the time. Was it? I can't remember.
I don't remember that one.
I think it was like Soranda or something along those lines, because he threw in the Korean word for cow. I can't remember, but he was saying something along those lines. Anyways, in the meantime, we see a Siege Giant camp pushing in the bottom. 4 members of Sunny Lion are actually supporting this push, so they really want to inflict some damage before the next temple is going to spawn in the bottom lane. But already, look at that. Timeless going for another night camp. The important thing here, Tetra, is of course to defend the fountain, but I'm not sure if 2 people can do that. See and Saw, that might be a little bit too much for them. Yep, there it goes.
See the pressure continuing to be laid onto this bot lane, but they can't get any further. We have not mentioned Cassia's level 4 yet, I don't think, because it is not the usual talent.
Yeah, that is of course the increased the increased radius of her blind, which also causes it to trigger when she gets stunned. So for example, against ETC, she's now basically protecting herself with an auto blind. Oh, look at that arrow actually landing on Genji from all the way. They go for another stun as well, and Wildlight is in all sorts of trouble, just like Timeless though. He gets away to safety though with that Eyes in the Dark. Is he going to be able to escape Sonia's Fury altogether? Oh, that was
gets out. This is not the Wildlight. Oh my god, Lifeline! And Timeless is alive and healthy.
I didn't even see that. Judgment is coming in there as well. RPG, what are you up to?
RPG moving forward, but here comes Genji turning it around the Judgment. Not enough for the kill. C is out. Gets found by Wildlight though, and Wildlight setting the dusk onto the lives of 2 members of RPG and make that 3 with the reset. And they begin moving down to the boss.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are here. Tell your friends, tell your mommy, tell your Aunt Granny. We're in for a Lifebinder game on Alexstrasza. I have never seen this talent in competitive play before. Cleansing Flame is normally too useful, especially against the enemy team, right? Against the Cassia, against the Genji, anyone basically, but instead of going for Sanctification and of course the Cleansing Flame, which actually would have decent value together, they go for Judgment Lifebinder, because why not? Because they can, it's China.
I don't know what to say about this, like maybe it's a misclick, but either way it temporarily saved Timeless's life. It was effective, at least for a while. They have so many disengage tools, I can see the logic behind it, but it's unexpected, to be sure.
I do not want to confirm that it is a misclick yet, because why would you pick Lifebinder and Judgment? That is a little bit weird, right? So
it seems like a bit an interesting anti-combo, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, of course, the Lifebinder could be a nice protective tool for Timeless, because we have mentioned time and time again how aggressive he likes to play, and not always to a healthy degree. So maybe the Lifebinder acts like an ancestor healing, like a panic button to basically keep Timeless a little safer. Although if you have a player at this, oh, never mind, there goes the engage. Timeless going in.
Judgment stage dive. Cassia is gone. That's what we like to see. You can see the preemptive Lifebinder on there. Unfortunately, that means there's no protective tools left. With no sack, Genji has just walked into the fight and has just cleaned up 4 members of Dragonblade, finally dying to the towers thanks to Chicken. But that's a 4 for 2 in favor of Sunny Lion.
4 for 2 indeed. That was a nice consolation kill here by Chicken, by the way, knocking Genji to the towers and keeping him CC chained. So here we can see what RPG was trying to do, right? A beautiful arrow with the stage dive and the Judgment. They blew up a target immediately, but that, of course, is exactly what we talked about here. The Lifebinder greatly mistimed as well. Timeless wasn't even below 75%, so the value from this heroic ability was very much wasted. And now, of course, Genji being ignored for so long, just slicing and dicing his way through with the Dragon Blade, completely capitalizing on the fact that there was no one to even stop it anymore. All the cooldowns were used to blow up Cassia, and yeah, that backfired quite tremendously here for RPG.
I mean, perhaps that should be the opposite way round. They should be aiming at the Genji. But so far, their blow-up, it certainly worked, but now they're 2 levels behind. They're holding bot lane for the moment, though. ETC in top lane. I doubt stage tips off cooldown, so this would be a 5v4. The second Murder gets there. Look at Murder taking the longest possible route round here to cut off any escape. And look who he's found. That's a delicious Sar who takes a lovely leap. Down to the safety of this area. It's going to be a big choke point fight for RPG here. But once again, without ETC, at least for now.
Yeah, when is ETC going to join the fray? Lifebinder hits on Timeless. He's almost back to full health. Here comes ETC. 1 kill on Malmo.
Whoa! That's more like it. Moving forward, Dragonblade yet off cooldown, but still the damage output is too good. Level disadvantage is too bad. And RPG another. That looked much neater than before, but they end up even worse off. 4 for 1. And make that 5. Zar will get taken out by Wildlight, and Sunny Lion are just running away with this now.
Hanzo K can't escape the claws of Genji here, it seems. A beautiful takedown, making it a full team wipe in favor of Sunny Lion. And here's the big question for you, Tetcher. If you want to play this playstyle, you know, of keeping Greymane, keeping Timeless alive, why not go Uther and Divine Shield?
I mean, I don't mind the Alexstrasza in general, just due to the area control. I mean, I don't think I don't think the objective behind it is to do that. I don't like. This is just an unexpected comp. A lot of it I have yet to figure out yet, and as such, I don't know what to say here. Due to the fact that Alexstrasza, for starters, I like this comp in the fact that it's a full hard engage. They've managed to land it every single time, but then they have burned every ult they have on killing one person. That is their strategy.
Exactly, and the problem here is, of course, if they don't do it on Genji, then Genji is probably going to strike back really hard with the Dragon Blade. That's what he's been doing every single time they were able to blow up Malfurion or Cassia before. But if you don't take care of Cassia, she's also going to out-sustain you eventually with the Ball Lightning, with the strong poke granted from her Thunderstroke at level 1. So, while I do like the creativity here that RPG is applying in this game with the Judgment, with the stage tap, and of course the lockdown and the saving potential from the Lifebender, I'm just not sure if their execution has been really well thought of at the moment. Of course, they have this thought in mind, you know, Greymane, Timeless in particular, is such a dangerous player. He's such a good player as well, that if you can't keep him alive, your team fight is most likely going to crumble. But yeah, the execution just needs to be a little better. Now, what is their plan? Are they trying to take the boss, or are they trying to even take a temple and trying to catch someone? Okay, looks like they're going for the boss, but Tetcher, they're taking so much damage in the meantime from those temples. Actually, never mind. Sunny Lion, they retreated. Yeah. They still have ETC here at the bottom temple. He can, of course, join at any given moment.
Sunny Lion are already so far ahead that they have no reason to not fight this boss. They have no reason to give anything up to RPG. Yeah. The fact that this bot temple's taken so many shots is only because the second temple in top lane is so far away. Speaking of which, ETC is ported back and is now on his way top.
Yeah, look how Sunny Lions are playing this. They're not clumping up. They're always trying to hit them from multiple angles here. Here comes the Teriel. ETC nowhere to be found yet. Here he comes. More damage from BP. Are they going to get the kill?
Aiming for Cassia once again, but this time, and lovely Dragon Arrow. Where is that Dragon Blade? Genji chilling in the backline, waiting for health bars to drop. Lifebinder not getting too much value this time. The wind buff has a good disengage. MJ is low. Needs to not get burst down, but here comes Genji. Tyrael shields. Genji goes down. They finally get it. The face off from ETC halts the assault of Genji as they push forward looking for Jada on that Muradin. They get the start on him. Sonya is unattended in the backline, but the split from RPG this time was gorgeous. A lovely split. Another face melt. Chicken is on fire. Ninian nearly finishes off MJ, but the protection from Chicken saves MJ, and it's almost a full team wipe by RPG. Malfurion, the only one to survive, and RPG move on to the boss.
And this was the fight they were looking for the entire duration of that game. Major kudos to MJ on that Alexstrasza. He knew exactly well that the enemy team was mainly going for him here, even had to use the Lifebinder before to keep himself alive here. Here goes the beautiful Hanzo error, really locking down, and MJ now trying to use Lifebinder on a full HP target, almost full HP target on Chicken. Unfortunately, Chicken was actually brought down quite low as well, so the healing value was limited, but the result is what matters, and the result of this teamfight was that they got the kills they seeked, and they got Alexstrasza out to safety here. So that was a much better showing, but unfortunately, although this teamfight was so good for them, they're still behind in structures tremendously. This boss is now going to get some value here, at least on the bottom. The temples are now falling over into the hands of RPG as well, so they're going to get a little bit of a retaliation move here as well. But no matter how you turn it, no matter how you twist it, Sunny Lion still ahead by a large margin.
Jada's just moved so far out of position. Avatar is dropped. Holy Ground preventing the escape. Jada is dead. They turn it round. Dragon Arrow focusing Feed B. And down he goes. The greed of the Muradin moving out, thinking he just had a delicious, a wonderful Lifebinder there, keeping ETC alive. But Jada on the Muradin thinking that she had a lone Hanzo on Zar. But guess what? Tyrael's waiting just around the corner. The keep is going down, but they're running out of health. C is taking so much damage, but the abundance is set up. They want to try core, like you said.
Okay, if they have a Dragon Queen ready, I think they can maybe pull this off. If they don't, it's going to be so crucial for them to not die. Here goes the Dragon Queen. That's exactly what they need. Look at Timeless. He is ferociously attacking the core exclusively. So is Sa, Hanzo, and Greymane. Those are excellent sustained attackers on the core. And I think, Tetra, they did it. With one swift move, with one quick attack on the Murden, RPG takes the game in glorious fashion.
They actually pulled it off. It took them way into the game to get the composition to work. But after some insane play and some insane turnarounds and one surprisingly good bait from Hanzo, they are able to take the game. RPG with game number 1 in hand. And ladies and gentlemen, Lifefinder has a 100% win rate in HGC.
What are you going to do? Is it sleeper OP? Has that ability been the key to success all the time without many players noticing it? Remains to be seen if we actually ever see it again, or if it was a once-in-a-lifetime experience, you know, like a beautiful, beautiful lotus flower only blooming once a year. You know, who knows? Maybe it was an orchid who only blooms like once in a lifetime and people are actually lining up just to see it shine and blossom this one moment. Who knows? Tetra, there's one thing to tick in your book, right? Do you still have your book of China, where you actually write down all
I need
the
to make
weird
a new
things?
One. All the things that we don't see. We don't see that many strange hero picks as much anymore.
Right.
That's those days are over. Heroics, however, I could certainly make a new book of those, but they're being ticked off very quickly.
For those of you who weren't aware of what we were talking about, of course, when we started casting HGC China, we were blown away by how weird and exotic, in a good way, the regions sometimes prove to be, with you know, Twin Blade variant being locked in, a Toad Zebo when it was completely bonkers to even go for that.
Yeah, there were. If I remember correctly, there were only 2 really big things that like weren't picked at all, and that was what was it now?
I think one of them was Nova.
Yeah, Nova was picked.
Oh, Nova was picked in one last game. I agree.
Yeah,
I think Rexar was
one of them.
picked.
Rexar was never picked, and Ultralisk Kerrigan was never picked. Like very specific heroics didn't make it in.
But other than that, we've seen it all, man.
All that's crazy stuff.
If we ever get you know, past our 70s and 80s, we can tell our grandchildren about what we witnessed back in the days when we casted HGC China.
He was live binders back then, you know.
Would make a fitting theme for Deckard Cain as well. Stay a while and listen, young one, and let us tell you the tales of China.
I think. I mean, we've talked about as like Kendrick is very secure about his hair in general. He knows his scenario and he's very fine with it. I think if I was to go into a similar scenario, the very first thing I would do would be a Deckard Cain cosplay.
Fantastic.
Listen.
Fantastic. All right, guys. What a way to start the show. What a way to start day number 2 of week 3 in HGC China here with so many kills. And you know what? I'm going to stay with my opinion here. I think Sa deserves the MVP award. Those arrows, man, although he died 3 times in this game, although he not always looked super stellar, those arrows connected when they needed to connect.
He hit every single arrow, basically. I don't think he missed a single one. No, I'm not going to say that. That's mean to another region there. But he landed all of them. No whiffed arrows at all. The other person I would have given it to, as I very much called out in the game, would be Chicken. There were so many times that MJ and Sa and everyone else was kept alive purely due to the incredible face melts from Chicken.
I think so too. I think Chicken played out of his mind in that game. Not only did he peel for the backline very well, but also his timing on the stage dive and the prediction moves on the stage dive as well were just spot on here. He always connected on the target he needed to connect, and with stage dive that is not always an easy thing to do because it has an activation timer and then it takes a couple of seconds to drop down where you want to drop down. So predicting where the target is going to be at in that specific moment in time requires quite a lot of skills. So well done, Chicken. Well done, Sa. Well done, RPG. And they're actually going to be the ones who picked Tomb of the Spider Queen. So we're going to